This map is hiding a secret for the future of artificial intelligence. Microsoft has created an AI-generated version of the game Quake. This one prompt in ChatGPT will give you mind-bending ASCII art. Seriously, ChatGPT hid love song lyrics inside of this Disney scene. Shopify's CEO is pretty much done with humans unless you can prove that it can't be done with AI. Scientists have unveiled a Starfish-inspired wearable tech for heart monitoring. China achieves a quantum computing breakthrough by literally fine-tuning an AI model with a quantum computer. Debates are raging online if banning AI in terms of political content should be a thing. New study shows that AI can match human efficiency when it comes to therapy. Mathematicians found a fascinating new hidden pattern behind the $3.5 billion cryptocurrency collapse. So new research is pointing towards the conclusion that robots actually get more creative when we're watching them. Creepy or cool, that's up to you. Scott Rosenberg argues that AI is basically going through its high school phase right now. Half nerd, half theater kid. And honestly, I see it. That seems like a really good explanation of the world we're living in right now. Agam Jahal dives into what actually it means when you upload your brain. After that, what's next? And probably one of my top 10 favorite people in Silicon Valley, Jaron Lanier, argues for us to think about AI in an entirely different way. Okay, so first off, this is a map of the concentration of US data centers. More specifically, it breaks down some of the major players. Amazon leading the charge with a staggering 281 data centers. I knew it was a big thing, but if I think about every one of those being like way bigger than a Costco and just like full of GPUs and CPUs and hard drives, it's amazing they have 281 of them. And then this company Lumen, which I hadn't heard of before, coming in number 2 at 230. Then Microsoft Azure, that makes sense, and digital reality in the hundreds. So I just got fascinated by some of this stuff. Like, did you know that Loudoun County, Virginia is the largest concentration of data centers in the world? It's estimated that 70% of global internet traffic passes through this region daily. Also, Phoenix, Arizona, where you'd think it's way too hot to build these things, they build them a lot because there's a low risk of natural disasters. Dallas, Fort Worth is growing at an incredible rate, mostly because of tax incentives. Oregon and Washington have a lot of cheap hydroelectric power, so because the costs there are so low, Facebook, Google, Amazon all have massive facilities. So these are some videos from the YouTube channel TDC where he goes on site to show you Data Center Alley, and I never knew about it.
Clustered over just a few square miles in Northern Virginia, hundreds of these massive structures store and deliver our videos, social feeds, photos, websites, project files, and increasingly our AI processes.
All right, so here you go. Check it out. I can navigate in this world. I can turn. I can jump. What's my shoot button? Attack is F, F. Boom, 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 boom. Wait, is that even a bad guy? Yeah. That's a bad guy. He's gone now. But take a second with me to appreciate what I'm doing here, because I'm not playing the game. Like, this is not a port of the code into some kind of browser-capable situation. I'm actually interacting with a simulation of the game that's created by the Muse AI model. It's not the same for everybody. It's not a program. This is a system, an AI model that learned to mimic what the program did. The Muse AI model is generating a version of the game world based on what it has learned from watching gameplay footage and analyzing how Quake 2 works. So that's why you can see it's a little warpy and wobbly at times, because in a way it's hallucinating this all into existence from what it learned about the game previously. It's like when we have a memory of something we did, it's not doing it again. It's the memory itself. Yeah, and I would guess that it's running at like maybe 15 frames a second or so. It's pretty good. It's a 640 by 360 resolution, but you know it's only going to get better from here. So just wait for the 4K, the 8K, the VR version of this, high def, ultra HDR, customized for you version coming very soon. Okay, so Jim the AI Whisperer has a really fun prompt to share with us. He wrote a piece in Medium called Look Closely. This photo is actually comprised of ChatGPT text output. And this prompt is how you make your own. All right, so first you need a photo that you want to convert. So I'll just take my profile pic here. And then we're going to ask ChatGPT to please take the uploaded image, upscale it by a factor of 2, reduce brightness and contrast artifacts, map brightness levels to ASCII characters, resize the ASCII output, extract the colors, ensure alignment issues are all fixed. And here we go. So now, instead of just those characters, I'm going to take 190 good conversation starters for texting and replace this and do it again. Oh, here we go. A little more vertical than I expected, but oh no, didn't work. If you want to support the channel, go to patreon.com/DylanCurious. My goal is to get to 100. If you like this kind of content, want to support the channel, head on over there. $3 a month you can support. Or hit that join button right here on YouTube under this video. Same thing, wherever your credit card is, whatever's convenient for you. All right, now let's get into what the Shopify CEO about hiring people who are not AI agents. So I don't blame him for saying this. This is just how capitalism works. But does it mean drastic changes are coming? Absolutely. Do I worry that the world's not going to handle it very well? Absolutely. Do I think there's a shared responsibility between government and industry and individual responsibility? Absolutely. And I feel like what he said sums it all up. So Shopify's CEO just set a bold new standard for the company. He said that nobody is getting hired unless it's clear that AI cannot do the job. So if someone in his HR department tomorrow says, hey, I think we need this employee, he has to say first, prove to me that AI can't do that and won't do that anytime soon. So in a memo shared on X, he told employees that they need to prove that AI can't handle the task before asking for more people or resources. He's all in on artificial intelligence, calling it the fastest workplace shift he's ever seen. And he says using it effectively is now expected across the board. AI skills will even be a part of performance reviews going forward. Basically, Shopify wants everyone thinking, how would this work if AI was already doing it? And the biggest mic drop moment really is that he's not just encouraging AI use, he's turning it into a hiring filter. If AI can do the work, then no more humans. And that means there's a massive cultural shift going on at the company, hinting at a future where companies treat AI not just as tools, but also full-fledged teammates. And if you're working there, you should really be thinking about, can my job be automated away through an AI agent anytime soon? Because if it can, you should worry. You should try to get reskilled. You should think about how to be an asset to the company in ways that seem at least reasonably far off from the world we're in today. And the writing that is on the wall when you see the kind of video, like the kind of stuff I cover in these videos, how AI is disrupting many different industries. All right, so those pretty fun researchers over at Missouri have developed a funky new heart monitoring wearable that is inspired by a starfish. All right, this is kind of new. Like if it was just a watch or a ring, I probably wouldn't cover it. But this gadget has 5 flexible arms, just like a starfish, that stick around your chest. Like it kind of reminds me of like the Iron Man energy thing just like sucked to you. And it's also kind of like that because it's actually both tracking electrical and mechanical heart signals in real time. And then it's using artificial intelligence to detect potential heart issues with over a 90% accuracy at what it measures. Sends that data straight to a smartphone. So arrhythmias, heart rate abnormalities, sign of heart failure, and potential early indicators of cardiovascular disease is all possible because of that AI system that's smart enough to filter out the movement noise and diagnose heart issues remotely with impressive accuracy. All right, hope you're ready to talk about quantum computing. China's on the case. They're fine-tuning large AI models using it. All right, so Chinese researchers have pulled off a major flex in the world of AI and quantum computing. They fine-tuned a billion parameter AI model by using a superconducting quantum computer. Okay, so some of the details, it's a 72 qubit chip. This is a 3rd generation quantum chip that handles specialized data. So they had to reformat the billion parameter model so it could actually be tuned by this system. And I'm sort of interested in the actual model improvements because it did reduce the model size by 70%. It did accurately improve the math and reasoning skills from 68% to 82%. But the whole idea is really what impresses me. Like I have not heard or thought about how you might use the combination of traditional mega supercomputers, right? Like the $1 billion Stargate cluster, you take a model like maybe the newest model of GPT, and then you kind of reformat it and you hand it off to then fine tune on data in ways that quantum computers can do that classical computers just can't. I didn't even know you could do that or there would be like a potential reason to do that. But if there's a way to kind of put icing on the cake with quantum computing, maybe to get to some incredible level of precision, or there's certain types of optimizations or data that can be kind of double checked or processed or fine tuned or tweaked. I mean, that's a very different architecture system overall for a model like this. Maybe take the newest model of Llama, throw it into one of these quantum computers, and then compress it even further or improve it in some way. I'm going to be keeping my eye on this combination of quantum and traditional model tweaking. Like, that's cool. That's fascinating. So here it reads, the fine-tuning process reportedly involved adapting a large AI model for specialized applications by retraining it on domain-specific data, and that integrating quantum and classical computing could lead to more efficient and powerful AI applications in fields like medical diagnosis and financial risk management. Okay, so you remember last month when there was that Trump Gaza video that went kind of viral, created with AI? Well, it turns out that this is the guy that made it. He was recorded by News 9 Live, the YouTube channel, and the news station probably also. So interestingly, even though he got a lot of views off of it, and you'd think he'd be kind of in favor of just creating content like this because it worked really well for growing his audience.
AI should be banned by politicians. I mean, if the politicians should do justice for AI in their own lawmaking processes, they should first and foremost ban AI for politician or political use. I think it's an important moment because in a way it's not really damaging. So let's use that right now, that it was a harmless experiment, but it showed us a very dangerous window, you know.
Politicians saying things that are completely fake are, I mean, it's absolutely like it's the fake news that the right wing and the left wing have been using for a long time now. People, individuals who just want to get traction, and they can say something that's outrageous. It's just going to get more views, and people are going to be more likely to believe it and share it because it's outrageous. So it just spreads like wildfire. But if you really believe in this kind of super open world, then it's on everybody as an individual to just wake up to all these things, not be tricked by them. And that is an increasingly hard task. But then again, it's not like you just want to ask central governments to like make sure that all of these models don't ever change or do anything with politicians, because then they're also got their finger on it and they're going to probably push it towards, I don't know, their political agendas. So I guess it's going to be better to live in a world where anybody can take Trump or Biden or whoever, make them say whatever they want, and it will look incredibly realistic. But even just saying that out loud feels like we're just so screwed if we do that. Because it would be on, every individual to take something that is like truly photo, video realistic and then run it through their own system? Or do we start giving money to different companies that are supposed to do that for us and then tag what's real and what's not? Or we're only supposed to find kind of like white label trusted like Twitter accounts or news stations to trust? But then, of course, everybody's going to create a bunch of fake news on why you can't trust CNN, even if you probably could, or Fox News or whatever. Or maybe people will just get verified channels and they'll just promise that they're human and we'll just trust that they are because, I don't know, maybe they have money on the line if they don't or something, or they can be held responsible. And yeah, and if you ban it just for political use, but not for like marketing, is that right? I mean, can you even do it for just one topic like that? I mean, maybe our right to our identity, like Dylan Curious, like I get to own my face and you get to own your face when it's over the uncanny valley. Like if you want to make a cartoon of me or you, maybe that's okay because it's clearly not what we're saying. But when the eyes and the ears can't tell the difference, maybe that crosses the line if it's also not a non-fictional person. Like if it's actually somebody, you know, with a passport, a citizen of the world. I don't have all the answers, but it gave me a lot to think about. The good news is it's stressing me out, but now also artificial intelligent therapists are doing just as well as the real thing. Yeah, so it turns out that therapy bots might actually be pretty good at doing their job. A new study from Dartmouth shows that an AI therapist, when properly trained, can be just as effective, actually even more effective in the fine print than a human. And with a huge shortage of mental health providers in the US, researchers wanted to see if AI could step in and step up. So the model that was tested is called Therabot. It was tested in clinical trials with promising results. People showed real improvements, even formed strong, trusting bonds with their digital therapist, and loved the 24/7 all-you-can-use access. Experts are cautiously optimistic, saying it's a step in the right direction as long as the model is trustworthy and it's done responsibly, which is the big question. Which model is it? And where did it come from? And who trained it? But maybe the wildest part of the study is that beyond just getting good advice, people really bonded with these therapists. And I know in the real world, that's very common. I mean, people come to trust therapists with their deepest thoughts, and it's a safe space where they can really be their full selves for the most part. And that comes along with serious bonding, and it's different. If it's an API call, that means it's going somewhere and somebody else might be reviewing it that you don't even know about. If it's a local model, you got to make sure you know what it was trained on and who trained it and why. But generally speaking, that kind of bonding is part of the trust and connection that is one of the key ingredients for successful therapy. So I don't want to totally say that's totally bad, but it's something to watch out for. All right, now let's look at a new study that was trying to figure out what creativity really is, like a definition and how it applies to AI and humans, what the differences are. And it turns out that they came to the conclusion that the final product of creativity is not really what it's all about. Creativity is a process. You have to think about it in several steps. And in some cases, we get to see many of these steps in AI systems. And when we do, then we can consider them more creative. So imagine an AI system that you just press a button. It kind of just shows you the final product. It just generates an image and you see none of the in-between steps. Versus when participants started to watch more of the steps behind the AI generated drawing come together. Like maybe even a physical robot like this one on screen actually drawing it all out, then all of a sudden it looked much more creative. Or if you use AI in different ways where it first iterates with lines and then color and then kind of more realistic things on top of it, that was also deemed as a more creative process. You might be asking yourself, what about the shape of the machine? Does a humanoid robot drawing something with a hand versus a kind of 3D printer looking thing like on screen here, does that influence how creative somebody thinks the drawing is? And the answer is kind of surprisingly no. It doesn't really matter what kind of form factor it is. It is about how many steps it sees it go through, though. And ultimately, it just shows how much our perception of reality is shaped, whether human or robot, by the presentation process, not just the output. Next, let's talk about AI's freak and geek divide. So Scott Rosenberg kind of put together an interesting metaphor for what's going on right now. I really liked it. So he's saying that the AI world is split into two camps. The geeks, who are building super efficient models to crunch numbers and write code, and the freaks, who are working on making AI sound and look and feel more human. So if you remember the Sesame model that was mind-blowing to talk to, just felt so human, that one is for the freaks. AlphaFold 2, that one is for the geeks. Basically, he thinks that we're watching AI evolve along the same lines as high school stereotypes, tech wizards, and then artsy wordsmiths. So what do you think? Is it AI vibes that you're more into as we watch AGI come online? Or is it more about AI intelligence? I don't know, it's up for us to decide, but it's a good metaphor for how everything's shaping up, kinda. I can imagine the math nerds and the theater kids in school, and now I'm ooh, that model belongs there, that model belongs there. All right, now let's go to a piece written by Agam Joel. So you've uploaded your brain. Now what? What would it be like if I just popped in a simulated way into a world that was just all digital and every neuron that I have is recreated? Would I wake up conscious? Would that environment, assuming they built me a physical process similar to the human one, would I like it there? Would it make sense? Would it be fun? And this piece basically dives into all the mind-bending possibilities and problems that are going to come along with whole brain emulation. Look at that quote. "Don't worry, I've got this. After all, I am you." I mean, we've seen some Black Mirror episodes like that, but imagine looking down at your iPhone and it's not Siri. It's literally you. Another version of you, your full brain, so it does exactly what you want it to do because it is you. Now imagine standing face to face with your digital twin. The philosophical questions multiply faster than you can process them. Who are you now? Two conscious entities sharing one identity or something entirely different. What happens when there are two yous? Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm going to take in a quick tangent. This is a not very well-known movie called Another Earth. I highly recommend you watch the trailer on YouTube. I don't really recommend that you watch the movie. I mean, it's not the worst movie, but it's really not that good. But something about this trailer, I mean, this is a long time ago, 13 years ago, really shook me up, and it reminds me of that. You could easily remake this movie with an uploaded hyperintelligence of her.
We're getting feedback. Let's try another channel. Hello? Hello? This is Dr. Jones.
What does that mean? I don't understand what
Kimberly,
that means.
In the grand history of the cosmos, more than 13,000 million years old, on Earth is replicated elsewhere. There's another you out there. Now you begin to wonder, has the other me made the same mistakes I've made? And is that me better than this me?
Let me tell you a story. It's about a girl. She does something.
Okay, yeah, but anyways, back to the article. Sorry, that one just there's some nostalgia for me watching that. But yeah, do we treat these digital minds like backups, like children? Are they something entirely new? They're a new branch of us. Do we watch them and see what other decisions in our lives might have led to? If we map the brain with enough detail, can we even simulate it? The human brain has about 86 billion neurons, so a complete map would require 4 to 5 petabytes of storage. David Chalmers said, consciousness isn't computation, it's the flame, not the fuel. But I agree with this top highlighted part. If it feels like a person, remembers like a person, and suffers like a person, it deserves the protections afforded to a person. In fact, if they're in some sense even more limited, or they're more limited than us because they're maybe even trapped in digital environments, maybe they even deserve more than we have because they don't even have some of the basic freedoms that come along with just being a human in a three-dimensional world. Anyhow, let's talk about Jaron Lanier. This guy is just the best. This article, it covers kind of a different way to think about AI. Will AI become God? In his opinion, is just the wrong question to ask. So we shouldn't be asking questions and wondering if AI will become a god or a new form of consciousness. Instead, we should be a bit more practical and think about how it's used. Now, the reason I kind of like Jaron is because he basically hates social media, and he talks about how it's messed up the world and all these weird patterns and how the incentives of big tech have been for attention, and the attention economy has messed up the way we communicate. And he always goes back to something that's really important to me is who benefits from what's happening? Ask yourselves about the incentives. What are the incentives of Facebook for actually having this? Why was Elon Musk so excited about owning Twitter that he would spend $40 billion of his own capital to do it? Why is it so important to China that they keep the company as a Chinese company? Why are they so resistant to selling it to an American company? If it was clearly just about making the most money possible, it seems like they would just do this. Well, there's a lot of benefits in influence, and they're not always in your best interest or my best interest. And when you ask yourself about AI becoming a god, it's probably better to ask yourself, who benefits from it being godlike or powerful? And what kind of systems are we building around it? Are those systems helping the general public? Is it an open source therapy model that has the best intentions of individuals? Or is it a model that needs to grab your attention for as much time possible because it charges you by the minute or by API call? So Lanier just does a good deep dive. He critiques the mystical language often used to describe AI. He wants more practical kind of thinking about it. He warns that treating it like it's sentient brings us to overlook some practical concerns that could actually be addressed and help the world right now, like data transparency, ethical design, and the most important thing, how is it being implemented to influence society? And then he urges, kind of like always, the same thing as he kind of did with social media, a total rethinking of the internet, the internet business model. I've heard people say advertising is the internet's original sin, and I kind of agree with that in many ways. Because there shouldn't be such an incentive to manipulate. And if you want one tangible example, he actually talks about how hiding the human data behind these large language models creates an illusion of originality. So with the new Llama 4 model that came out, it's open weights. Is it open source? That's kind of debatable. Some people say you can't call it open source until they give you all the data that it was trained on. But either way you phrase it, there is something about feeling like it's more creative, more human, more godlike when you don't really know what data it was trained on. I mean, maybe that's on our responsibility to just not treat it that way, which is like what he's saying, but just kind of think about it. Like if you actually saw how the sausage was made, you saw all of the work that it learned from before it generated this, you might kind of, if you could digest the entire internet yourself, you might be like, oh, I can see why ChatGPT can answer all these questions. But without it, it's hard to verify accuracy or prevent misuse. So we gotta just be careful that AI doesn't look smarter than it is when we know the full story of how it exists. And that ignorance makes us dumber about it, meaning people can kind of sell it in different ways. Check me out, I'm on Spotify now. So yeah, thanks to James O'Keefe-US in the comment section. On my last video, he said, like, I really appreciate these videos, but are you on Spotify? And I wasn't, but looking into it, wasn't that hard to like set one up, and I already make the content anyways, so there you go. You can find and subscribe to Dylan Curious on Spotify now. So yeah, if you listen to these more like a podcast or just like while you're driving to work or doing the dishes or whatever, yeah, this works. So if you want to be the very first listener, depending on how long this video has been live on YouTube for, then maybe you could run over there and be the first one. All right, leave a comment, head on over to Spotify, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. See you guys soon.